Hello, hello. This is Pixie doing a video. Whipping around the corner. Brilliant, brilliant. My Barry Wang shirt on. La da da. That's always a thing, really. If you want to do the MGTOW, just want to try to improve the wardrobe. So, just looking at bargains on eBay. I saw these Barry Wang type shirts, but they're a bit kind of just shiny and stuff like that. I mean, you wouldn't want to wear it all the time. I don't know what impression it would give. I'd have to think about that one. If you always had like party tops on, what on earth would people think of you? Would they think, oh, they see you outgoing? Would they see you as a lot of fun? Would they see you your value? Think, well, this person's got a lot of, you know, you might have some money, spare money on them. I mean, that's one of the selling points. But you're really looking for a guy, he's looking for someone to love him. It's more important than the money. But when somebody asks for money, it evaluates the relationship, because they're actually telling you what they're interested in. It's the same way as if a guy went up to a woman and said, oh, sex, you know, how much sex can I have for the relationship? Oh, well, I need to have a sex allowance. Imagine that. I mean, there's some people, I mean, there are some women that believe that they should have allowances and things, but if you reversed it and, you know, like, oh, well, I've got certain needs and urges, I need to have sex at least 3 times a week for an hour each thing, like, so can we book it in? It's like, you know, the thing is, if you turn it into a business, you have to see the flip side of it. So it might make sense to think, oh, it's nice if a guy wants to look after me, buy things and stuff. He will do if he loves you and he's in a good position. If he earns a good amount of money and he's in love with you, you're an extension of himself to a degree. His feelings, his heart is a part of yours in his kind of way. I mean, he is affected by the same romantic gesturing and everything else when it comes to relationships and romance. You know, he's not different in that sense. He might cope differently with things like breakups and so on, or he might have not. The worst thing is that if you prepare yourself for something, it's fine. Now, having a relationship is quite a normal function within female society, because you get yourself into better positions by your resources, and that might be a partner as well as jobs and everything else that's available nowadays. But for the guy that has the heavy part, he has a complete breakdown, or women have breakdowns because they never had in their mind that it wouldn't end in something, you know, like you'd be married for the rest of your life with the person. You don't see the end. If you don't think you'll ever get divorced and so on, then by not having that there, you're not prepared for it when it does come and it hits you hard. And there's also something I've seen as the dark side of like MGTOW. Maybe it's to do with, basically it's a cultural thing. I've seen it in this Latinos, and so you try to find out, why do women want to move out and why don't want different men and stuff? Because they're very violent. Now, over in sort of Venezuela sort of area, or it blows, or even into Mexico, they've got situations where men, they call it femicide. They kill women, so the ratio of women dying is high, and some of it's to do with gang-related stuff. But you know, these people are just terrible, really. I mean, how can you kill a woman because you're jealous, or you take a machete and take her legs off? I mean, that sort of thing seemed to be, for some person's mind, that was fair. It's an extremely excessive violence for a relationship breakup. You know, there's no way you can actually. But they're very passionate, very emotional, very sensitive. So you've got the good sides of it, but then you've got this extreme crazy side of it. I saw this missionary who was saying about how this guy tried to rob her with a gun. He said, "I'll give us your money, a gun." I think they gave him some money, but he asked for a small amount. He asked for a small amount so he wouldn't end up getting arrested. Probably locked up for the rest of his life. But he used his finger behind a paper. But you have to realise, if he had the gun, he would use it. Whether he thought it's just him being stupid and stuff, he doesn't see the threat as it is, really. That's the problem. So the next phase for me is, so how do you spot a scammer online? A lot of people want to exchange pictures and stuff. Well, that's because they just want to take your pictures and use them elsewhere, or whatever, probably profile you. So somebody very interested in and wants lots of pictures from you isn't a real contact. Most contacts might share one picture, but they don't want to share any pictures, to be honest. Equally, they sort of always write things like, I don't want you, I'm not going to share any nude pictures if you ask for it. But you think, I never bloody asked for it. So already there's some sort of funniness going on there, because they're assuming that that's the kind of guy you are, because they don't care what kind of guy you are. Why would you communicate with someone and then be scared they're going to ask you for naughty pictures? Because obviously, if you like the guy and he likes you properly, he's not going to ask for that. And to be honest, he's not interested really in that, because there's enough of that material online anyway. Just got to look it up. He doesn't need new, fresh material, and imagination's good enough as it is. So, I mean, sure, if somebody wants to share something private with you, it depends what you want to do to that guy. If you want to boil his blood with passion, then send him something. But if you rush to do that and he doesn't have any emotional attachment or value, then that's going to backfire. So, you know, because he's going to say, well, does she do this to every guy, send pictures like this? But if it was really meaningful just for you, that's, you know, for a guy, that's quite a moving thing. You know, I guess maybe in the same way, possibly male generosity. If a man does something really nice financially or something for a woman out of the blue, that could be seen as something very, it might be, oh, I didn't realise he had such strong feelings for me. But it might be measured in different ways. But then again, that can backfire as well. So if you rush to do that, she'll think that he's trying to buy me. He's trying to buy an ownership of me. Or what does he want in exchange? So there's this kind of fear that works both ways, you know. So the other thing for MGTOW for me is, like I said, I got a bit more money now. Everything's, the child maintenance stuff's behind me now, which is great. It's only taken 20 years. I mean, 5 years the kids would come to see me, but I pay that every week. And that was like £320 something. And it's slowly gone up because I was paying the admin staff at the child support agency, which I don't think you should. I think it should be sorted out through government. I think once you set a direct debit up or something to do with your payment, I don't think the admin are doing much at all. They're just collecting money and taking 20%. They're just ciphering it off from the payments and pocketing. Really, they must be making a load of money. I mean, there's a lot of people that slip through the system, which I get, and they shouldn't. They should be paying a contributing to other children. They need to be held accountable, so they need to realise. But the only thing is, see, what sometimes happens is that people want to get them out of their lives. They wanted the children with this particular type of person, but they didn't want a long-term relationship with them. And then the children would act as a kind of bridge that they don't want. And so they might say, oh, he's not the father, or he's gone out of the system. And then they look for the welfare state to support them. But when they have somebody who they latch on and might have some money, and they don't see him as a threat, they most likely go straight to the CSA stuff and then set that up, and then they start taking 20% of his salary. So you got to play it smart, and so men need to be accountable. I mean, the only thing that some women have over guys is sex, really. If you can defeat that, there's no problem. If you're looking for something much more meaningful, and you've got to set your goals quite clearly. I mean, even for me, I've got to say, well, you know, I didn't necessarily want to rush for marriage, but I do want somebody committed at that level. I don't want somebody just wants to say, hey, have you got Google Hangout, can we go on there and stuff? Because all that happens is they just send you random messages, which is nice, and then at some point they'll ask you for money. That's all it is. It's going to be like that. But there'll be mistakes they make. You look at their profile, they say, oh, I'm having my birthday. It turns out that birthday was sort of like 6 months' time. So you think, well, what a load of rubbish. And, you know, because you can see where it's going, basically. You do want people with jobs. If you're a bloke, you want to date a woman with a job. I'm not sure you can go over there and see her straight away, and she's very pretty. You don't mind spending money on her, because if you've got no money, she's got to want something from you. There's going to be a transactional structure in the relationship. She's not going to be like going out with you just for the sake of it, because a man might think that's possible, but it's not going to happen like that. I'm just thinking of else. Oh yes, for the next part of my MGTOW. So I noticed there's like Free for Life. I think it's a Rosetta Stone app or something. So I'm going to go on that and get that eventually, and then I can learn any language for well, once you paid it, for life. And I think that would be a good, because if you want to try if you want to sample different cultures, because a lot of people, you know, same for women, might say, all men are this, all men are that. And they say, well, okay, if you believe that's true, are you telling me you dated every type of man on the planet from every different culture? You know, so it's the same for women. If you go to a culture like I mentioned about the femicide, Latino stuff, there's probably going to be some genuine women who just want to get into a better position. They don't want to be in a situation where they date a partner. He comes off very attractive, very controlling, and then they want to. Starts becoming domestic violence, starts to enter into relationships. She wants to pull out, and she's afraid that she's going to get a lot of legs and arms chopped off and stuff, or she's just going to get killed. I mean, that's at that level. So there's probably a lot of women are trying to pre-plan their futures, get themselves educated, get themselves in a better position. Generally want for their own personal safety, they want to leave and find some better partner. So you can see where they're coming from. Some other cultures, there might be just quite a lot of work, like Russia. I mean, I've got an honest contact I'm writing to. The only issue is that she's a bit dry, and it's just she's just working 11 hours of the day, doing account work. Mainly she's indoors all the time. There's not a lot really going on, and I'm propping up the conversation, so it's kind of not going to go anywhere. I mean, there's no chemistry there, so I just got to see how it is. I can't create false chemistry. Like, you know, say, oh, you look hot today, because there's just going to be no reply. In fact, you probably reduce the reply, and you think, oh, well, that says what it is then. So I think different language skills means that you can journey into different cultures a bit. Go on holiday, you know, go to places where you can mix and mingle with people, have a plan, be aware that, I mean, there's going to be, just generally, you're going to get a mixture of people that, even in your own country, that will scam you. If you went there for sort of money reasons and stuff, you know, you brought some money and they knew you as like a tourist, they might play you, but you get an opportunity to mix with different cultures, and you generally see the response will be different. If they think, oh, you're from the UK? I've never spoken to a bloke from the UK, and suddenly it's a game changer, because they need to reevaluate what type of man you are, because you're just somewhat different. And it's possibly different for women as well, because they might be used to lots of attention, but the chemistry is different from the guy. The guy, you know, he's either very cool or he's going to be acting differently, and so they need to evaluate that. But they're probably used to that anyway. In the UK, they are. If they have to try hard to get the attention of a bloke, then that's a different experience. If a woman thinks she's a very good player, or she's a really high valued, attractive woman, if she goes to a culture where, you know, basically the men, it's not really hard for the men to pick up women, so they're not suddenly going to look at her and think, oh, blimey, she's hot. They're going to look at her and think, oh, it's another pretty woman. And so she has to work a lot harder to achieve that. I mean, but she might get a better type of man for that, or she might actually have a reality check, because, you know, people might chase things that are attractive, but then they get to a point where they can't, basically, they're looking for money, and they can't get money and looks together, and the person who's got looks has probably got lots of kids and moves on and doesn't want to have her settle down. And then they've got this issue where their standards are so high they can never compete and never reach them. For men, it's kind of a mixture. I think they're looking for sort of people that are healthy, and that they have, well, if they haven't got the skills, I mean, basically, it's not going to work out. Like, if a woman can't cook or do other things that they'd expect traditionally that women would have achieved, it's not that they can't do it themselves, but if they lack them completely, they realise that it's going to be sort of 70% of their efforts going into relationship. Well, they'll do all the DIY, they'll be helping support to the cooking, they'll be supplying financial support to this person. They will be doing a lot of things, because maybe this person said, well, look, it's not for me, I'm not like these old women, I'm a modern woman, I'm a feminist, or whatever they go along. But the problem is they've actually alienated their roots, and now they don't appear to be more feminine to a guy. It's like, well, what's there? She shouts a lot, she wants money, she's interested in watching TV and stuff, she does whatever she likes, but she doesn't feed back to anything to this relationship. And so if you could meet a group of people like that, because long-term plans, I think men try to think for the long-term relationships. Some people are just interested in short-term, but if they are, they're not actually interested really in relationships, just enjoying life. They're just treating it like a drug, an experience. You know, that's it's the casual thing. They're not looking for it, start off casual and see where it goes. I mean, that might be maybe some thing where a woman might go. They're treated casual, and then they go. It's a completely different way of thinking. Anyway, have a great day. This is Pixie signing off, and speak to you soon.